Good afternoon. Thank you very much for staying with KTN News. My name is Betty Okari. This 30th day of November 2015. Hope you're keeping warm wherever you are. We have the latest. Let's begin with the highlights.
Warning to motorists as El Nino-related deaths hit the 80 mark. Scientists now link miraa chewing to low sexual performance. China and the US on the spot as world leaders discuss environmental pollution.
It's a minute to 1 o'clock Kenyan time. Thank you very much for joining us. Now we begin with stories that are developing here, and the Director General of the National Transport and Safety Authority, Francis Major, has issued a warning to motorists contravening traffic rules. Now, according to Major, as the holiday season draws closer, his officers will be on high alert to ensure that traffic rules are upheld to avoid loss of life. Well, he said that motorists who break rules, including speed limits, will be subjected to hefty fines. His statement comes just after a fatal accident claimed 10 lives in Murang'a yesterday. Now, speaking on the El Nino rains, Major raised concern over the number of people who are risking crossing overflowing rivers and roads and urged them to wait till the roads are clear enough to travel.
Associated with the current rains, one in Migori and early this morning in Murang'a. We have cautioned motorists about the need to be cautious while they are crossing flooded bridges and roads. This advice seems not to be taken seriously, and we want again, and we shall not tire to advise the public, take these cautionary messages seriously. PSV vehicles speeding, which means that they have tampered with their governors. We have also noticed that a number of PSV drivers have been caught by our teams drunk while driving. That is a serious exposure.
Well, we are still following up on Pope Francis' African tour, and today he is set to visit a mosque in a flashpoint area of the Central African Republic capital. Now, preparations at the Koduku Mosque in the PK5 district are still ongoing as leaders from the Muslim community and area residents await his arrival. Now, the Holy Father will meet with 5 imams at the mosque, then hold a ceremony nearby intended to promote religious reconciliation. Francis will then celebrate a huge mass at the capital's 20,000-seater Barthélemy Boganda Stadium before heading back to the Vatican, wrapping up his first visit to the continent. The pontiff has hammered home the message of peace during his visit to the Central African Republic, which has been rocked by violence between Muslim rebels and Christian vigilante groups. Well, his resolution message is said to have already drawn pledges of peace and forgiveness among warring groups. Right, and we now want to cross over to Abi Agena, who is at the Strathmore University, for a developing situation there. And Abi, we do understand that there was a bomb scare moments ago. Is this true? And what can you tell us now?
Yes, Betty, I'm still on the site. And so far, the students have been evacuated. Gunshots have been fired around the area. We are yet to get information from the authorities regarding what is exactly happening. Of course, there are fears that there was a bomb attack. We've had a number of gunshots fired, and we've also seen a contingent of APs being deployed to this place. Basically, a lot of students have actually been injured in the process. A number of them have cuts. They were actually forced to walk through some very very shaky terrain, and a number of students have been hurt. And so far, students have been evacuated from the classes. We are still hoping to speak to the administration to give us a situation of what's really happening, basically.
Abby, just to question you on that, maybe you can take us to the start of this whole situation. How did it come about? What happened to the point that people thought that there was a bomb scare? Maybe you can just take us through the sequence of events, and at what time did it start?
So basically, actually, the incident happened about close to 20 minutes ago. And what started off was a number of gunshots were fired, around 3 gunshots to be precise were fired, and every person in the building, the alarm was sounded and people were asked to immediately evacuate the building. There was a lot of commotion and some seed of sorts, basically. And this is not yet clear whether it is a drill, as some of the other people working at Strathmore have tried to mention to us, but so far we have established that there is no confirmation whether it was a drill or the building is under attack. I can still see where I'm standing, the contingent of administration police officers combing through the building. They are armed, they are putting on their bulletproof vests, and it seems a situation where there's a lot of panic as we speak, Becky. And that's just a quick genesis of what happened, and we are still looking to get more answers from the administration, Becky.
Abby, as you continue to get these answers, do we know who exactly fired the first 3 shots? Was it the police or was it someone who was in the school?
We are not yet in the know regarding who fired the shots, Betty. What basically happened, as I mentioned to you, it was just a very quiet morning. Then we had gunshots rent in the air, 3 of them. After that, everybody was evacuated from the building. Right now, I'm actually trying to get access into the building and just get to ask a few of the security officers regarding the situation, Betty. But by all indications, no one has been shot, but a number of students have been hurt, Betty. And you can even hear the sirens. Some ambulances are here, and they have come to pick up the students. But as we speak, the situation has sort of stabilized. People are just counter-checking to see if their destination can be traced. And a lot of feedback coming in also from some of the staff, most of them mentioning that there was the likelihood of there being a drill today. But once the contingent of the administration police officers stormed the building, they immediately began shooting in the air. So it is a situation where we're not really able to establish whether the building is under attack or it is a safety drill. I can see one of the staff with me, Betty. I don't know if she can speak to us and tell us.
Right. Right. Maybe you can just tell us what exactly happened in the school this morning, actually a few minutes ago.
We're currently conducting a drill in the institution, so it should not be any cause of alarm for anyone.
Drill over. We also understand that there are students who have been injured. Can you verify that?
Not very much, but I'm not also sure about it because I'm also hearing the same. Once we confirm that information, we'll be able to give back to you further details.
Right. So you are saying that this was a drill and it's not an attack of any kind?
Sorry, Betty. The lady has been called on to respond to some other issues. But as she's mentioned, it appears to be a drill so far. From where I'm standing, Betty, I can see a crowd of people already gathering at the university. People trying to do a head count, Betty, just to find out if everyone is there. We're still getting reports that some students are still trapped in the building, and rescue efforts are ongoing in regards to trying to make sure everybody has been fully evacuated from the building. Most of the people have left their cars at the parking lot. A lot of confusion at the moment, Becky.
Right. Thank you so much, Abby. Again, of course, if any developments come from there, Abby is going to be updating us. But just to bring you up to speed with what's happening there, there was a situation about 20 minutes ago. We understand that there were 3 gunshots that were fired. It was not very clear if this was an attack or what exactly was happening. But a staff member there on phone has just told us that that was a drill. But of course, we understand also that there are students who have been injured, and questions, of course, if it's a drill gone bad. But we'll be trying to get more details on what's happening at the Strathmore University. And as soon as we get the details, of course, we will be relaying that information to you. Now moving on, a Pokot Council of Elders led by their chairman John Mwok has appealed to Kenyans to continue praying for the ICC Kenyan cases to be terminated. Mwok, who was accompanied by other elders as well as the Pokot South MP David Pikosing, added that the cases should be looked at fresh and that it was wrong for only the two Kenyans, Deputy President William Ruto and Joshua Arap Sang, to be sacrificed for the atrocities of the 2007-2008 post-election violence. Now, Pikosing, who was the head of Kenyan delegation to Assembly of State Parties, urged the Hague-based court to heed to the elders and drop the cases in totality.
Kwa hivyo leo kama wazee wa Pokot kwa jumla katika county tumefurahi kusikia kwa mheshimiwa kwamba AICC walikubali ile delegation ya Kenya kwenda kuzungumzia ile petition ya kesi kule Hague.
Hivyo ni kama ofisi ya Bensouda ilikuwa above the law. Lakini kwa sababu ya ile petition tumepeleka na kama Kenya na ikakubalika, ofisi ya Bensouda sasa imerudi chini ya sheria. Na ni jambo la muhimu sana katika jambo la muhimu sana. Hiyo ofisi ilikuwa nje ya sheria, sasa iko ndani ya sheria. Lakini sisi kama Wakenya ambao tulidhulumiwa ama mtoto yetu alidhulumiwa, sisi nasema kina go back ya kwamba Bensouda wachane na hii kesi.
Male consumers of miraa in the country may need to take caution, as it is now imagined that consumption of this stimulant affects male sexual capability and could lead to heart attack. All this is according to a study that was commissioned by the Kenyan government. Sharon Momanyi has the details.
Miraa, veve or mogoka, a plant stimulant that is very popular in Kenya, one you'll find packaged in bundles. Miraa is a plant whose fresh leaves and soft twigs are chewed to release a juice containing cathinone and caffeine, the active chemicals that alter the mood of the user. But for its popularity, a new study shows that the plant has bad effects on men's health, affecting their sexual performance.
Using miraa over time can actually affect your sexual capabilities. And even though we say we need more research in this area, at least what we have does have some pointers to this.
It affects the motility, how the sperm moves within the tracts in which it passes before it results in reproduction. It affects the quality of sperm. These are studies that have been done. And then overall, it might affect a person's desire for sexual interaction.
The miraa high takes hours to achieve, and users stay with the buzz for several hours, making it extremely popular. Parents neglect cautioning their children about it because it seems like a lesser evil than tobacco or alcohol. The study by lecturers from Moi University, which was commissioned by the government in 2014, reveals that the plant affects the mortality of sperm. It further indicates that consumption of the drug results to a rise in blood pressure, but it does not cause cancer, as has been reported in some quarters.
This is very well documented even in terms of the pharmacological properties of some of the constituents of miraa. A simple thing like rising blood pressure, for somebody who chews miraa every day, that can turn out to be a big problem later on, because we know a rise in blood pressure will cause several other things.
Scientists involved in the study say that the ingredients in the plant also affected the quality of sperms after a long use, causes some mental disorders like mood swings and depression.
The few studies that have been done on association between chewing of miraa over a long period of time and mental health suggest that among people who are vulnerable to chronic mental illnesses like schizophrenia, when they engage in miraa chewing, this often precipitates psychotic episodes. It makes them behave abnormally, and it can start the disease much earlier.
The researchers say that there is need for more studies on the effect of miraa. The report has been handed to Parliament for action, leaving it to users now to determine if they would continue to use the product.
President Uhuru Kenyatta arrived in Paris, France, last evening to attend the 2015 Climate Change Summit, which kicks off today. Now, the plane carrying the president and his delegation touched down at the Charles de Gaulle International Airport, Paris. shortly after 8 p.m. Kenyan time last night. Now, President Kenyatta will be among the over 140 leaders, including U.S. President Barack Obama, China's Xi Jinping, Russia's Vladimir Putin, and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, attending the summit, widely expected to reach the first truly global deal to cut greenhouse gas emissions. Kenya is among nations which have been at the forefront in championing for the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. The 21st session of the Conference of the Parties and the 11th session of the Conference of the Parties serving as the meeting of the parties to the Kyoto Protocol, which will take place from November 30th, 2015 to December 11th, 2015. The Paris Summit represents a historic opportunity to put the world on course to meet the climate change challenge. About 150 heads of state and governments have kicked off discussions on progress of nationalism, curbing global warming at the Paris Climate Summit. Delegates are still streaming in to the French capital. From France, our special correspondent Alex Chamwada gives us an update of what's going on day one of the summit.
Yes, it's day one of the climate change conference in Paris. Today is the big day for heads of state and government who've just arrived. The purpose of the meeting is to discuss the progress of nations towards combating climate change. And of course, this meeting begins today until the 11th of December. At the end of the meeting, it is hoped that leaders will come up with a deal that will help curb the emission of greenhouse gases that are responsible for global warming. And here it's not just heads of state and government who are key participants. There are also members of the civil society, members of NGOs, there are environmentalists, agriculturalists, name them. And of course, they will also be discussing business, the role of business, the role of entrepreneurs in combating climate change, that in future, any business that is registered or any business that is allowed to operate, there should be the factor of combating climate change. We will keep you posted on what is happening here in Paris. For now, I'm Alex Chamada, and back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Alex, for that. Now, Tunisia's 3,000-year history of olive farming is under threat, with warnings that production is at risk of halving by 2030 because of the extremes of climate change, from floods to droughts. Take a look.
The title for the world's leading olive oil exporter could go to a surprising contender this year after Tunisia produced a record yield of the green gold. But climate change is threatening the country's precious commodity. Amor Slama has 125,000 olive trees south of Tunis and says he started to feel the impact already.
Lorsque j'ai entamé l'activité olécole, je n'ai jamais pensé qu'on arrivera un jour.
When I started the olive oil business, I never thought a day would come when we'd have to irrigate our fields. Our plantations have had regular rainfall and the performance was always fine. But now we have to make an effort to irrigate and maintain the same productivity.
Pour irriguer et pour maintenir la même productivité.
Despite Tunisia's proximity to the arid Sahara, around 80% of the country's 80 million olive trees manage to survive purely on rainwater. According to a recent report, if the problem isn't addressed soon, olive oil production could be halved by 2050.
Changement climatique, c'est augmentation des températures.
Climate change is raising temperatures and reducing rainfall. This means a reduced resilience of trees and reduced reproduction rates. This will lead to trees that can't withstand drought or produce adequate crops.
This year, Tunisia produced 340,000 tons of olive oil with nearly €1 billion in revenue. And the government says it's taking measures to ensure that this financial windfall is protected in the future.
The projects that Tunisia has committed to minimize the impact of climate change in the olive sector are essentially to create new plantations in favorable areas of northern Tunisia. The second is the creation of new irrigated plantations and to encourage farmers to use local varieties that are resistant to drought.
The olive sector currently employs 390,000 people and accounts for nearly 5% of all exports. With the upheaval that followed the 2011 uprising, the potential threat to this precious source of financial revenue is something the country simply can't afford to ignore.
Let's now move on to sports. Los Angeles Lakers Kobe Bryant has announced he will retire at the end of the season after posting a poem on Players Tribune website. Bryant is the league's third leading scorer, a 17-time All-Star and 5-time NBA champion. In a poem posted on the Players Tribune website, the 37-year-old said, "This season is all I have left to give. My heart can take the pounding. My mind can handle the grind, but my body knows it's time to say goodbye. My heart can take the pounding. My mind can take the grind, but my body knows it's time to say goodbye."
I don't want to do this anymore, and I'm okay with that. And once I accepted that, then it became time to just let everybody know. I mean, why not? I mean, it's just it takes a load off my shoulders and everybody else's, and I think it was just the right thing to do.
New Zealand paid tribute to the All Black great Jonah Lomu at the spiritual home of the New Zealand rugby earlier today, with thousands of fans packing a memorial service at Auckland's Eden Park. A Maori morning chant echoed around the stadium as the All Blacks legend, including Michael Jones and Frank Bunce, carried a black casket containing Lomu's body onto the field. Lomu's wife Nadine and sons Brayley and Daryl, wearing black shirts with wingers number 11, followed with heads bowed. Lomu's career was cut short by chronic kidney disease, and he died unexpectedly at his Auckland home this month, aged just 40. The ceremony, which will be followed by a private funeral on Tuesday, was broadcasted live by all major television stations in New Zealand, where Lomu was a beloved figure even among those too young to have seen him play. World Rugby Chairman Bernard Lapisette and former All Blacks coach John Hart also paid farewell to the legend.
His contribution to rugby cannot be overstated. It terrified the defences and thrilled spectators with a brand of running rugby that had never been seen before at the highest level. Through its sheer brilliance and love of the game, he brought much joy to the rugby family and took our sport to a new level of profile.
You were many things to many people. You were a freak on the field and a gentle, caring giant off it. A loving husband, dad, son, and brother. But most of all, you were a lovely, lovely man.
May his soul rest in peace, especially after inspiring very many rugby players and fans all over the world. That brings us to the end of KTN Newsdesk. Thank you very much for watching. Part 2 continues on the KTN News channel. I'm Betty Okari.